Non-fungibility.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first, the inaugural, the maiden voyage episode for this new podcast called Fungibility. My name is Andy, and I'm joined here with this man who wants
Graham.
to say something. He wanted to say something, and
I wanted to say the first and hopefully not the last
Yeah.
episode of
Yep.
Fungibility. And if I might add,
yeah,
real quick, just the Dijon mustard yellow that you are wearing right now is just fantastic.
Thank you very much. I'm trying
Dwight
to
Schrute-esque.
Yeah, I'm trying to mesh into my surroundings here a little
It's
bit.
Beautiful. A little Pittsburgh background.
That's
Love
right.
It.
Yeah. So welcome everyone. My name is Andy. This is Graham, and we are good buddies going back years and years. And we've talked a long time about doing a podcast. Never had the right idea, and we've found an idea that is very intriguing and fun. And we decided, you know what? Let's just do our whole thing, this whole podcast thing on that topic, NFTs. And this is just for us. So if you are, if it's bad, it's fine. You know, this is
it's kind of documenting our process.
It
right?
is.
Maybe in a few years it'll be interesting just to see where we started, and because this is a huge universe that we're like delving into, kind of.
Yeah,
like I delved into crypto a little bit late last year, and then just slowly have kind of unearthed these stones. One of them being NFTs, and what sparked this podcast and video, or YouTube series.
Yeah, so we want to learn about it together. We want to talk about it because it's fun and interesting. And so while we do, we're just kind of documenting the process and inviting you along for the ride. If you are interested and feel like joining us, we're quirky and nerdy, and but we're hoping to have some fun together with that. But
yeah, I love that.
Before we get into the topic of NFTs and talk a little more about what they are and some examples, got a little icebreaker question, something to get our gears turning. Graham, I want to know your history of collecting as a child. Now, collecting, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about collections and how they're changing in the 21st century. So looking back on your childhood, did you have any collections yourself?
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is Pokemon cards. Had a lot of Pokemon cards. But again, like when I was a kid, I didn't take care of any of my stuff. So probably not worth anything, but I know that I have them. I believe in a pencil case. I have a bunch of old Pokemon cards, not in penny sleeves, not protected in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun to revisit. And I have binders of sports cards and other stuff, but mostly cards.
Yeah, cards was my thing growing up. A lot. I still have a lot of cards. I was actually going through them a little while ago, and it was fun to do. And my dad and my brother were real big into baseball cards. My brother's been back into it with COVID and everything. It's there's been a resurgence in card collecting in general, which has been kind of fun to see people.
Why do you think that is?
I really don't. I have to wonder if people we're just bored during COVID and like digging through old stuff and like, oh my goodness, I should see if this is worth anything because I haven't seen it in 20 years. And I don't like it's incredible.
I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah,
is that we're just bored.
Everyone's just bored. Yeah, maybe so. So, what if I told you that a certain collectible was sold via the famous Christie auction house for a record-breaking $69.3 million, and the person who purchased this can't even hold this new possession in their hands?
Sounds like you're talking about NFTs, Andy.
How did you know? Yeah,
Are you talking about Beeple?
I am. Yeah, Beeple, is that the name of the artist?
Oh, you don't know.
Yeah, I was just clarifying for our audience.
Yeah, no, of course. I like to play the role of condescending elite.
No, I like it
elitist.
too. I like that's good. That's totally you. So
it comes very naturally.
So so this is one work of art it's called 5,000 first days or something like that. First 5,000 days, sorry.
I mean, it is pretty cool though, like the concept.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. I actually couldn't figure out what 5,000 days were.
So he committed to making a piece of art every day for 5,000 days. And this is a collection of all 5,000 pieces. And I think they're all digital, or maybe some of them are drawn. Maybe they're all, I really don't know, but I know they were all eventually digitized, put in the overall pixelated image. I think you can interact with it or zoom in on it and see each individual piece.
I mean, he poured a lot of time into this thing, but $69 million. I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity what this market is doing right now.
You could just look it up on the internet
and see it. Yeah, exactly.
And if you wanted to print it out, keep it as your screensaver, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I own it too. Yeah, I didn't pay anything for it, and I see it every day.
Exactly. Yeah. So why is someone willing to pay $69 million?
Yeah, that's right. So before we dive more into that, I want to back up and tell our audience, if they have never heard of an NFT, first of all, if you've never heard of an NFT, I don't know how you found this podcast, but if that's the case, then let's talk about what that is really briefly. We don't want to dive too much into the technicals because we honestly don't even understand a lot of it. No, but what is an NFT? And can we give them a little background?
Yeah, so I think you kind of have to go to like cryptocurrency to start with like Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was the first, to my knowledge, like the first cryptocurrency, and it was based on this idea of peer-to-peer transactions that would occur on blockchain. With Bitcoin, you have these series of nodes or computers that are working to solve these complicated math problems that link every transaction that occurs. Like with Bitcoin, any peer-to-peer transaction is put into a block of data, and that has other transactions in it. And then that block is linked with previous blocks, which is linked with previous blocks. And so it's all interconnected. It's very secure in that it's hard to, do something malicious.
Yeah.
Because it's all interconnected. Yeah. So that was the origin of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And Bitcoin would be an example of something that is a fungible token. And what we mean by that is that it is interchangeable. So one Bitcoin could be exchanged for another Bitcoin. They are of equal value. It's like any currency, like the US dollar could be, I could give you $1, you could give me $1 back, you could give me 4 quarters.
Let's do that. Yeah.
It could be divisible, but at the end of the day, they're completely equal value. So non-fungible would be the exact opposite of that, is that these are unique tokens that cannot be precisely interchangeable. There might be some that are of relatively equal value, but it's not like a fungible currency that is directly related. And so non-fungible tokens are digital. Well, I guess sometimes they have tangible components to them in some cases, but they are unique and they take place on blockchain.
Yeah. Yeah, like any work of art would be non-fungible because it is unique. It is but what makes these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, extra unique is that they exist on the blockchain, like Graham said, which is really only important because it describes the amount of security that they have. They are attached to your account, and you can verify that you are the owner. It can't be stolen from you. And it can't be lost. Like I could have a baseball card one day and I could drop it and nick a corner, and then its value goes down, or it could get stolen, it could get lost. All that stuff. NFT is locked on the cloud. Like we said, this person who spent $70 million doesn't even take that thing home with them that day. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably just transferred to them and they can find it on their phone or however. So these NFTs are really interesting because people are paying buku bucks for them and they can't even hold them. But
Right.
there's value attached to whatever, people want to attach value to, I guess. Like if
Exactly.
you like a thing. So that's another question that is coming up a lot. Is are NFTs a good investment vehicle?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think at this point we're so early to the game, even though like because at this point on my Twitter feed, it's like I only follow people who are into this or in this
It's a very
sphere.
sad life that you have.
It is. So it's like for me, it's this echo chamber that it's like, oh, everyone already knows about this, but
Right.
I know we are still so early because like I know my parents and most of my friends have no idea this world is even like in existence. I think a lot of the stories we've seen recently, like with this Beeple thing, and we have tweets being minted as NFTs and NBA Topshot and all these things that are just like blowing up. But I still think we're very early to the game, but at the end of the day, at this point, I think these are very speculative assets. So like I'm viewing it as I want to be investing in things that I actually like enjoy. So if I delve into some art, it's going to be art that I think is cool and not just like I don't know. I'm not going to throw money at stuff.
Yeah, probably not advisable to spend $1,000 on an NFT in hopes that it turns into $1 million because it may turn into 100.
Right.
And so that,
just I think we're doing this podcast and like because we're just like two normal people
I wouldn't
who
call
like
us
just
normal.
just two normal
I'm kidding.
jobs. Like we don't belong in this like in tech, in NFTs, crypto, like or I guess not belong. We don't come from.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure this out, and because it is like we'll get into it in future episodes, like Ethereum, the blockchain, like all these, there's all these things that are really complicated. And we don't want to get left behind in the process. And so if you want to follow us while we're making these YouTube videos and podcasts, like maybe we'll learn together.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be cool.
Yep, I agree. Do you want to get into some examples of some NFTs for people just to
So I think with it being like these non-fungible tokens that like you have verifiable ownership and you can be assured that it is authentic. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is collectibles because and there being inherent scarcity that you can verify also via blockchain. Because the number one thing that drives value with collectibles, I would think, is scarcity. Is if you have verifiable scarcity and authenticity, because there's a lot of forgeries in art, in collectibles in general. So with these digital collectibles, you can be assured that what you're buying is authentic and you can know how scarce of an asset that it is. So we're seeing a lot in the collectible space. The number one thing that you and I have kind of gotten interested in is NBA Topshot, which is a licensed NBA product where rather than trading sports cards, you're trading digital moments. So they're just like, maybe it's a dunk or a 3-pointer from LeBron or whoever else. But it's it's been cool to jump into that as our collectibles example, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's tons.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to see, more and more. It's going to be interesting the way the market, I just feel like with NFTs, everyone, I think it broadens who can create a little bit. Like with physical art, you've got to have the training and the skills and the tools to, create art. But with an NFT, if you know how to code, you like we've already seen, like in this one example of an NFT is a series called the Cryptopunks, and there's how many thousands of them? 10,000?
10,000, yeah.
And they're all algorithmically created, and there's just different aspects of people that it randomized and created 10,000 of these things that were eventually given away for free. Just whoever wants this digital pixelated image, we'll put one up on the screen so you can take a look at an example, can have one. And then this was just 4 years ago, 2017, and they started getting swapped around, and people were like, wow, those are kind of cool. This is a unique idea that we own this thing on the blockchain, and I just have it on my phone. I can't hold it, but I own it. I am verifiably the owner of this CryptoPunk, and they became valuable. And so now the lowest that you're going to pay if you want to own one is somewhere north of $30,000. And it's just remarkable how, this works. But for this example, it's kind of a piece of history. They were so popular so quickly, and there were only 10,000. So there's a scarcity thing that you talked about. And so they're, it's the cutting edge of this new frontier. So there's more value to this particular piece. Now the Beeple piece, there's value because it represents an artist's 5,000, so what brings value to each thing is going to be really interesting to watch.
Absolutely. CryptoPunks having value, I think, because they were like the first NFT project. That's always like, if you believe in NFTs, I think it's kind of a no-brainer that this is probably going to be they're going to be worth a lot of money in the future. And they're worth a lot of money now. But just jumping back into, I talked about Bitcoin, but so Ethereum was built as like a blockchain for app development. Like, people saw the utility of blockchain being used for things other than cryptocurrency. And so that's where all this NFT space came out of. Like, they're all mostly on the Ethereum blockchain, but now other blockchains have kind of come up and have different advantages and disadvantages. And I think we're probably going to learn what those are. I don't have a great grasp on it at this time.
Yeah, that's one of the definitely one of the things that we're gonna, by necessity, get into and learn more about. And
I think you said it best: for better or for worse, we're gonna learn a lot more about this universe.
Yep, definitely. So let's talk about a few more examples. We've talked about MDA Topshot, which is funny. You said earlier, people that you're talking to in everyday life don't know what NFTs are. And for me, I have yet to have a conversation about NFTs with anybody other than Topshot. Topshot is it's probably the most like, it's the most similar to what we already know and understand, like collecting cards.
Exactly. And most people who have Topshot have no idea they own NFTs.
That's true.
Because you're using US dollars, you're not using cryptocurrency. I mean, you can, but you could just link a credit card. You just have sports fans they want to buy these NBA moments. It's cool to them. Yeah. And that's what I really like about this, like starting to think about putting your money towards things that you're like passionate about. Yeah. And I think we're going to see a ton of that stuff.
Yes. And that's actually, why don't I start with this? Well, yeah, I'll start with this example first because it's a great example of giving people opportunity to put their money on something they're passionate about. And that is one of the goals of this company called Yellowheart. And they have been working with the Kings of Leon. The Kings of Leon, here's just another example of what NFTs are and can do. The Kings of Leon released an album via NFT, and they did it through Yellowheart. And they are the first rock group to do so, I believe. And so they're kind of on the front lines of history in that realm. And so that's potentially what's going to give them value. I think today might have actually been the final day to purchase that album. I looked into doing it, and ultimately Ethereum, I'm still learning about Ethereum. And so that was a hurdle for me that I ended up not buying it, because the gas fees and everything. It was going to essentially be $140 for this album. And
that was originally you thought was going to be 50.
It was going to be 50 and everything. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'll spend $50 on a piece of history. 140 is a little rich, but I digress. This is really cool because what they're doing is essentially this NFT, and I'll try to go quickly because I don't want to spend too much time here, but the NFT is redeemable for a vinyl and the MP3s. And after 2 weeks, after today, I believe, they're done minting these NFTs. They will not mint anymore. So it becomes a limited edition tradable entity. And so you can redeem them for the vinyl or the MP3, or you can not redeem them and it'll maintain more value if you want to sell it later. And who knows how many will get redeemed and how many will be held on to for like a investment, vehicle. I don't know. But it goes a little deeper because, well, first of all, it's really cool that, Yellowheart wants to match bands and artists with their audience a little better. Like there was a day when if you wanted one song, you had to buy the entire vinyl. You had to buy the whole CD, whatever the case. But nowadays, you just clickety clack
Spotify
on YouTube. Yeah, Spotify or YouTube. Even if you don't have a Spotify account, you can go to YouTube. You can listen to anything for free anytime you want. It's just right there. And the music industry is not as connected now to their fans as they once were. But this is a way that, you buy this, it's a special thing. And it's a way to say, I support this band and I want to own this. We don't own music very much these days. I mean, we have it on our phones. Like we can buy an album on iTunes or whatever, and it's ours, but like we don't own, we don't really feel like we own it anymore.
Right. No, that's a great point.
So this is one of their drives, but even more than that is that in the future, they're getting into like concert tickets and stuff via NFTs. And this is my favorite thing ever because the NFT market is able to be controlled in such a way that they can limit the amount on the secondary market. If I buy a ticket to this concert and then I realize I can't go, I can resell it, but I can't necessarily make a huge profit on that ticket because they can put a cap on that. And when I resell that ticket, a portion of that sale will then go back to the artist, which is beautiful because
so cool.
Today, I don't know if you've ever tried to get when Hamilton was a big thing, you try to, it was coming to Cleveland and, there's these drops of tickets and then that the bots are just buying them all up immediately and they're gone in seconds and then they're on StubHub for 5 times the value, right? And that happens with any in-demand ticket, but NFTs can help solve that problem a little bit.
It's so cool. I'm excited for that aspect. I think it's going to do a lot of good.
Yeah, I think once they get that figured out, and maybe they're close. I know Yellowheart's working on it, but I don't see why any band would not take advantage of that. I mean, it's in their own best interest. I know a lot of artists are already vying for better secondary market measures. So, anyways, that's something NFTs can do, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and with just in the art space as well, like these sites, there's a bunch of them, but like Super Rare, Rareable, they have all this digital art. And I think with every transaction that occurs there, a portion of that transaction goes to the original creator, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And what I like about the Kings of Leon thing and others, like there's going to be people who don't, I guess, just fully get the idea of owning digital assets. Like it's the same people who won't be willing to accept that Bitcoin potentially has value. It's because like it doesn't exist. Like they can't touch it. It's going to be the same thing here. But with some of these NFTs, they have a tangible component to it. And I think that's going to resonate with people. It's like going to be like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
That I'm still getting something physical out of this if I choose to redeem it. or whatever. So it's going to be interesting what all comes out of this space. And I think you really do have to be, that's why I said invest in things you actually care about, because I think a lot of this stuff that comes out in this space is going to be probably worthless in the future. But there's just like so much coming out.
Yeah.
Like it all can't be home runs. And you also have to keep in mind there's a lot of stupid money in the crypto space. You have a lot of super young billionaires who got rich off of Ethereum or Bitcoin. And, you know, some of these huge price tags you're seeing on, you know, $8 million for a CryptoPunk, like who bought it? You know, like, is it someone with just insane money? Are they driving up prices? Are they bubbles? That's what we're trying to suss out and just like be more knowledgeable about so we can make informed decisions.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Jack Dorsey tweet?
Yes.
This one's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So this site, Valuables, I believe it's called, they started minting tweets. So like the creator of a tweet could mint it as an NFT. And so Jack Dorsey took his original tweet, just setting up my Twitter or whatever. I don't even know what year that would have been. Mid 2000s?
Probably in the 06 range, or 07 maybe.
That sounds right. But yeah, so like obviously that is, and it's a piece of history. And he decided to mint this tweet and put it up for auction. So he minted it as an NFT, and the current price, or last time I saw, was $2.5 million that someone was going to pay for a one of one tweet. So it was going to be the only one. And essentially, because it is being minted by the creator, you have it's like it's autographed by Jack Dorsey himself, because it's going to be sent from Jack Dorsey to whoever ends up buying it. And then any subsequent transaction, the creator of the tweet will also get a piece of that. And Jack Dorsey is giving it all to charity, because he was probably going to get like a PR firestorm if he profited a bunch of money from something people are calling stupid. But, you know, I think it's cool. And on a much smaller scale, you have a lot of like YouTube creators and smaller creators who probably have tweets that their followers would be interested in owning, like a one of one tweet that maybe they have to pay like 10-15 bucks for. And then it's like you're owning a little piece of you know, that creator. It's kind of bringing creators and their fans together.
Another example of that, yeah,
for sure, just like you said.
So one more example of NFTs that are popping up. This one was in the headlines this last week. If you've heard of Banksy, the famous graffiti artist from the UK, I'll show an example of his work. He's super well known, but he's also anonymous, which makes it interesting. There's theories about who he is and everything, but he has a very distinct style. He likes to do like kind of social commentary in his art, and some humor from time to time, like in this example with the girl and the using the tire as a hula hoop, and then they strap a bike to the pole right in front of her, and you see that the wheel's missing, and it's kind of cool. It always makes you kind of chuckle or scratch your head, or thought-provoking things. But anyways, he's also done things kind of like, so I don't want to take too much time here either, but I do want to talk about how ironic this is, because Banksy has pushed back on the art world before. There was one time when I think it was an auction for a Banksy work, and right as the gavel came down for the sale of the Banksy, it turned into the frame of the work of art became a shredder, and it shredded the art that someone paid, I don't know how much for, and it came out this, you know, shredded piece of, which I'm imagining drives the value up even more.
Absolutely.
but it's also kind of just his way of going like, yeah, you shouldn't pay that much money for something like that's stupid. Right. Like, even if I created it, like I don't know if it's his way to just kind of spit in the face of the art world or what. But that is what makes this really ironic, that this NFT was a group of people who they bought a work by Banksy for $100,000, and then they took that work and burned it, but they filmed themselves burning this Banksy, and they turned that video of them burning the Banksy into an NFT and sold that for triple the amount. So that went for $300,000. Wow. Now, why in the world would a video of people burning a Banksy be worth 3 times as much as Banksy's actual work, if not for a bubble in the market?
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff it's hard for me to, and it's like, I guess, are the people who did that, are they the creators of the video? Like, did they personally do
This
the
was
burning?
the intent of the whole thing. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because it's interesting territory with all this digital art. Like, actually, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I just, this one really is tough for me to swallow.
Yeah,
Just like that people are paying that money.
Because
But I guess it is iconic, I guess. I don't know.
Here's my theory. They can get away with it because it's early, but you can't not, because any celebrity and his brother is going to be like, well, then I'm going to go, film myself, like chopping down a tree and then selling it on this blockchain and mint my own money. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't just, if everyone just starts filming themselves doing things that are crazy and selling them. I mean, this makes a little more sense because they're spending, like, it's like, oh my gosh, they spent this much money and burned it.
I think the market is it's gonna become rational, and this stuff that is not worth anything other than a video on YouTube, like most of the stuff you're talking about is not going to be something someone wants to own at a high price.
Yeah.
In a rational market. Like if they don't think that they're going to be able to just continue to, I don't know, print money.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting world, and with a lot of this digital art, like I think people have a tough time with it as compared to like physical art, because like owning an original versus like, you could take the Mona Lisa or whatever famous piece, like you could buy a print of it or just print it out, like if you really like the work, and just hang it on your wall. Like obviously it's not the original, but you could still enjoy it to the same extent. But the original, like where you can see the brushstrokes and that it is, well, hopefully that it's authentic. I guess with all this stuff, you like never really know what happened years and years ago. But like with digital art, the owning the original, even if it's a one of one, like this Beeple thing, like I can still go on the internet and enjoy it to the same extent without owning it.
Yeah.
So like I heard this question posed, like if you take do you have a favorite famous piece of a painting or something?
Let's just say Van Gogh's Starry Night.
Okay. So you could have the choice between owning the original Starry Night, or let's say technology comes along to the point where someone could exactly replicate it to like the brush strokes where they are indistinguishable, but one is still the original and one is a copy.
Yeah, if I could choose between the two.
Which one do you want?
Well, are they the same price?
Yes, everything is the same.
Then I want the original.
But in a world where that is hypothetically possible. Yeah, and that's, I think, an important point, because they are identical, just like in this digital world, but one is authentic, minted by the creator, sent or, in auction, whatever, auctioned off and bought by someone. And yes, I could go on the internet and look at the exact same thing, but I still don't have ownership of it. So I think there's still just going to be a drive and a value placed on owning something that's from the creator.
Yeah.
And yes, like we've kind of talked about this on the side, like what if a creator decides to mint the same work again just to make more money, like on a different platform or something like that? And that kind of raises interesting questions. But
there's
I think
no
it would just
rules yet.
hurt their brand more than anything. But
it just feels like
it does
the Wild
raise
West.
question.
Yeah,
like if that guy just spent or whoever just paid $69 million for something, and then he goes
like,
out and
5,001.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting world, and we are excited to learn more about it. And I don't know, just figure it out more and take you with us if you want to join. That's probably a good stopping point for today. What do you think, Graham?
Love it. I think we hit on a lot of stuff. Kind of set the tone for what we're about.
That's just a nice broad overview of what an NFT actually is. In the future, we'll probably break down some specific NFTs. We'll talk about headlines, and we'll just process all this together. And we hope that you'll join us. If you're listening to our podcast, then you can also find us on YouTube. Just search for Fungibles, and we hope that you would find it if you did that. Or not Fungibles, Fungibility. Yeah, I better tell
that's
you
our name.
Fungibility. I don't know what it is. We're still new to this. If you're viewing us on YouTube and you want to check out the podcast for a nice drive that you're taking or something like that, then you can do that. I don't know what platform you'd even find us on, but hopefully the one you use is where you'll find us.
We know what we're doing.
We'll hopefully have some more info in the description. We're still figuring it out, but we hope you'll figure it out with us. And thanks for listening. Fungibility.